In today's video, I'm going to show you how to design a very simple birthday flyer in PIXELLAB, just like this one. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So I'm going to start from the default background like this. And when we have our background like this, we actually have to change the background color. But for now, I'm just going to delete this text and we can just start working with this background, and along the line then we change it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do right now is to import my first element. So I'll tap on a hexagonal tool, tap on import, and I'll go through my gallery and pick up the very first element that I actually need to use in this particular tutorial. And of course, I'm going to leave a link in the video description for you to download all these resources that I'm using in this video. And now I'll just go ahead and change the background color to white, okay, because I'm going to reduce the opacity of the element I just inserted so that it blends with the background as I want. Okay, so let me go ahead and reduce the opacity right away. So you can see as I am reducing the opacity, you can see what is happening over here. Okay, so just look at what is happening over here and you see. Okay, so let's say I'm going to use something like 37, then I'll tap on a check mark right away. So once I'm done with that, the next thing for me to do is to bring in the subject, in this case the person we are designing the birthday flyer for. Okay, so I'm going to tap on import, and I already have the background of the image removed using this particular application called Photo Room. Okay, so you can equally use it and remove background of pictures that you want to remove the background of. Okay, so this is the image and I'm going to put it over here like this for now. Good, I think it's okay. So I'm going to lock it at the top. Once I've locked it, the next thing I have to do is to start entering the text that I want to enter. So the first text I'm going to enter is fourth. Okay, so I'm just going to enter fourth like this, 4th, tap on done, make it capitalized. And for this one, I'm going to use the font called Go Bold Bold. In this particular tutorial, I'm going to use like 3 fonts. The first one is a Go Bold Bold, and I'll be using AKIRA Expanded and Montserrat. Okay, so once I've done this, I have to increase the size of this particular font. So let me do that quickly. And this is what I want, so I want it to be large. Okay, I want it to be big enough over here. Then I'll tap on a check mark, and when you come to the color, I'll give it this transparent color. Okay, I'll make it transparent such that it will not be showing over there, because I'm going to add stroke effect to it. So this is what I'll be having as I tap on this transparent button over here. So I'll tap on a check mark after this, then I'll scroll down to stroke, select the stroke, enable the stroke, then reduce the stroke width to 1, and this is what I'll be having. So for this one, I'll change the color to that of orange, and I'll tap on a check mark. So at this point, I can go ahead and push this particular text beneath our subject. So once I have it over here like this, what I have to do now is to go ahead and reduce the opacity of it just a little bit. Okay, we don't want it to be showing a little like too hard over here, so we have to reduce the opacity of it a little bit. I think this is okay, so I'll tap on a check mark, go ahead and lock the layer as well. So at this point, I'm going to enter a text like happy, and for the happy, I'll be using a font called Montserrat. So happy, I'll make it capitalized, tap on OK, then I'll go and select the font, which is Montserrat. Okay, so I'll use the Montserrat medium for this one, and what I have to do is to bring it down here. Okay, once I brought it here, I have to work on the line spacing. I want space to be in between. So after this, I'll tap on a check mark and reduce the size of this particular text a little bit. So let's do that quickly, and I think 26 is not bad. 26 is okay for us, so I'll just put it over here like this. Okay, I'm bringing it down like this. Okay, so at this point, the next text that we have to enter is birthday. So let me do that quickly. So we have birthday, make it capitalized, tap on OK, and for this birthday we are going to use a font called AKIRA expanded demo. So I'm going to leave the link in the video description for you to also download this particular font, which is the AKIRA expanded demo. So let me just go ahead and increase the size of this particular text, then try to break it down into 2, so it will be like birthday. That's what I want. And let me reduce the size of it so that it can fit perfectly onto our working space. So let's see. I think this is fine now. Okay, this is pretty cool. Along the line, we'll work on the position of the person's image, so do not worry about that yet. So after inserting the the birthday text, what we have to do is to change the color of it and also change the alignment. So for this one, we're going to use align right. So I'll tap on the alignment over here, then select the align right over here, and this is what we will be having over here like this. So I'll tap on a check mark and go to color, and when we come to the color, what we have to give the particular color we have to give to this particular text should be a gradient coloration, right? So I've already set up the gradient over here, and that's what I'm going to use, this particular gradient. But of course, if you want the coordinate of the gradient, that's the value, then I'll just show you right now by tapping on the plus sign over here. So the very first part over here, if you want to find the coordinate or the color code, then just tap on this color drop icon, then this is the color code over here, FEA700. That's the color code for the first part, and the second part, when you check, the color code is FF5959. that's the color code. So you can equally go ahead and use it. Okay, the hex code, you can use the hex code in your practice. Okay, so I'll just tap on OK, and we'll have it over here like this. And at this point, we can proceed with the remaining thing we actually have to do in this design. So I'll tap on a check mark like this. Once I'm done with that, I actually have to close the gap between the birth and the date. So I'm going to select the line spacing, the vertical one. So I'll just make sure that I've closed the gap a little bit like this. So I'll tap on a check mark after this, and once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and bring in some other elements. So for this one, I'm going to use a shape. So I'll tap on insert a shape, then I'll bring in a shape over here like this. So once I've brought in the shape, I have to give the shape a color, and for this one I'll also use a gradient, and this particular gradient I've already set it up like this. So one part of the gradient is transparent and one part is having this kind of orange color. Okay, so I'll tap on it, and this is how it's going to be. Now of course, if you don't know how to set this particular one, just pay close attention over here, because I'm going to show you how to do that quickly. So let's assume everything is, let's say, like this, right? And you want to change it, just tap on a plus sign over here. Then once you've selected this area, this particular gradient is having 3 slides, so I'm going to delete this particular one over here. Once I delete it, okay, we have this now. So I'm going to leave this part over here, but for this part I'm going to make it transparent. So I'll tap on this over here, then I'll move this slider to the transparent area like this. So this is what I'll be having. Now I have to position this to anchor points well, so that it will appear like this. Okay, so at this point, this is what I'll be having, and if I tap on OK, this is how my shape is going to appear over here. Okay, so you can see it is the same as the one that I showed you earlier on. So pretty much that is how to do that particular effect in PIXELLAB. Okay, and I hope you've learned something from that tip. Okay, so I'll tap on the check mark after this, and this is what I'll be having over here. Okay, so what I have to do now is to go ahead and enter the message that I want to pass to the subject, right? So I'll tap on the text and tap on edit, and over here I'll just paste the text over here because I've already copied it. So I'll just tap on OK, and of course I have to reduce the size of it, and Like I said, I'm going to use Montserrat for this one as well. So let me just scroll through and select Montserrat, either Montserrat bold or Montserrat medium, but let me go with Montserrat medium and see how it's going to look like. And of course for this one too, I'm going to use the align right for this particular one. So let's see how it's going to appear over here. Right, so I'm actually going to work on the size of this shape to be the same as the text that I'm kind of entering over here, because I want everything to be uniform over here. So right, let me just put this over here and I'll tap on a check mark over here. Now I can go back and select the shape, then work on the size of the shape as well. In case you want to see where the shape is covering, you can reduce the opacity of it and see how best you can place the shape to fit onto exactly what you want. So once you are okay, just increase the opacity back again, tap on a check mark, and this is what you will be having. So now you can enter the person's name. That's if you want to enter the person's name. Actually, it's important that you enter the person's name. So I'm just going to enter the name right here, then make it capitalized. And for this one, I'm going to use the font called AKIRA expanded. And of course I'm going to break this text down as well into 3 like this. So I'm going to reduce the size of it so that I can also fit perfectly onto the shape I inserted earlier. So let's see how it's going to be. Okay, so this is what I'll be having over here. And now that's not all. We still have a lot of things to do over here. We have to enter our other text, which is the date. So let's make a duplicate of this, then tap on edit, then delete this. So the dates, we are going to enter 04.04.22. Okay, so that's going to be our date. Okay, so I'm actually going to increase the size of it, let's see, a little bit, and I'm going to put it at the top here like this. So let's see. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to set a shape and put a shape around this particular text. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of this for now, then make sure that I place it around this particular text at the top. So for now, what I'm going to do is to increase the radius to, let's say, 3, and I'll reduce the opacity to 0, then go down to stroke, make it 2%, then I'll just tap on a check mark and see how it is going to appear at the top over here. For now, I don't think I like the view, so I'm going to work on the radius a bit and also reduce the size a little bit. So I think this is fine now, and I'll tap on a check mark like this. So this is what I'll be having at the top. Let me just position it well using the alignment stuff over here, which is the grid tool. Let me use it and see how it's going to help me align this well. Okay, so let me select the text over here, then go ahead and push it to the left a bit. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, this is pretty cool. So what I have to do now is to go ahead and insert the confetti. Okay, the confetti is that kind of gold like should I say leaflet? Yeah, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to leave the link in the video description for you to also download them as well. So I'm just going to increase the size of it well so that I can just put it over here for you to see clearly. Okay, I want it to have a little bit of effect at the top corner over here. So let's see. So I'm just going to push it to the back and see how it's going to appear. So what I have to do now, go back and bring it on top of the texture we inserted first. So I can now reduce the opacity of it. That's if I want to do that. So let's see how it's going to appear if I reduce the opacity of it a little bit. I think I'm okay with this. What I have to do is to make sure I position it well so that it does not distract the main text on the flyer. Okay, that's something you need to take note of even as you design this flyer. Okay, so I'm just going to lock this layer as well quickly, and after that I'll start manipulating the other things that I have to do. So I'm going to insert a shape. Then for this particular shape, I'm going to give it a gradient, and this particular gradient is going to be in this form, the one over here, like this. So this is what I did. I made this part white and this part transparent. So yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. And after that, you tap on an OK, and you are going to have this. So you can now bring it down like this, just to cover the other part of the person's image. Okay, so once it covered the person's image like this, you can just tap on the check mark, and after that make a duplicate of it. So for this particular duplicate, what you are going to do is to make it add a texture to it. So once it is selected over here, run down to textures, select textures, then pick up the element that we actually used for the background as the texture. We pick that particular element again, I mean this one, then we add it like this. So we can now tap on a check mark and bring it down here. So you can see the effect that is actually having on the person's image right now. So now let me go ahead and show you the trick and the things that we have to do to make this popping. Once this is selected, let's tap on to back, and let's select the second one too, and let's tap on to back. So we go down and we bring everything on top of the person's image. That is what we have to do. So let's do that quickly and see how it is going to be. Okay, so we've pushed the first one. Now let's push the second one to the same place. Good. Now let's make sure that they are all being positioned well. So let's do that quickly. Good. I'm going to lock that particular layer, which is the immediate one on top of the person's image. Then I'll select the second one, which is actually having a texture, and I'll reduce the opacity of it a little bit because I don't want it to be showing plain like that. Okay, so I think this is pretty good. I'll just go ahead and lock that particular layer as well, and let's see how the whole thing is going to show now. So pretty much we are almost done with everything over here now. Okay, we are almost done. So what we have to do to make the other thing pop up is to actually save this flyer right now. Once we save it, then we bring in other things that we have to do. So quickly, let me go ahead and save this flyer. I'll save it as Ultra. So once I'm done saving it, I'll just have to, let's say, start everything from scratch like this. Okay, so I'll delete this text over here, change the background to white color, and we proceed from there. So once I've changed the background to white color, I can now go ahead and insert my shape. So let's say, let me just change the color of the shape, and I'll just use any color over here at all, then increase the size of it. Once we are done increasing the size of it, what we have to do is to work on the radius of it. So let's say we are going to use a radius like 5, 6, 7. I think 7 should be okay over here. So I'll tap on a check mark, and once this shape is being highlighted or selected, we now go to texture and add the flyer we just designed. We add it as a texture. So we tap on a check mark, and this is how it's going to appear. Once it has appeared over here like this, we tap on a check mark, go ahead and add shadow effect to it. So I'm going to tap on a shadow, add shadow to it. Then for the shadow, I'm going to select this little bit shadow, which is not that much dark. Okay, I've actually set it. If you want to set it, just tap on a plus sign. So by default, the shadow slider will be here, so you just move it down to the transparent area a little bit like this, and you are good to go. So what I'm going to do is to move it down by moving the Y offset, that's the Y axis, moving it down a bit, and also working on the blur radius a bit. Okay, so now I think we are pretty much done over here, but if you want to add some effect to it by working on the background, you can equally do that. So what I did in my own is to import the same background we used for the main design. I imported the same background, so let me just do that quickly. Once I've imported it, I make sure that I increase the width and the height to be of the same size, and I push it to the back of the design. Then I reduce the opacity of it a little bit like this. So at this point I just have to save my work, okay? But of course, if you want to add your initials to it, you can say, but for my own, I added something like copyright 2022 Serene Arts. Okay, so if you want to add something like that, you can go ahead and add something like that. So pretty much this is how to design this particular flyer in PIXELLAB, and I hope you do learn something from this very video. And if you do not forget to hit that like button and also subscribe to this channel, right? So this is Goso here, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bless up.